Thank you for downloading this podcast from the British Theatre Guide. For more information about British Theatre Guide, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.
Tim Jackson is a British director, choreographer, musical director, music arranger and performer who recently received his first Tony nomination for directing the musical Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York, after it transferred from the UK to Broadway in the city in its title. Tim's current role is as director and choreographer of a revival of the musical Something Rotten, with music and lyrics by Wayne and Karey Kirkpatrick and a book by John O'Farrell, which has just opened for previews at the Opera House in Manchester. He spoke to me from backstage at the theatre, and I began by asking him what it was like to be at the Tonys.
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely incredible. It felt really magical. I thought maybe I'd feel nervous or I'd feel stressed by it, but it just felt like this wonderful celebration of what was quite a few years hard work. I started on Two Strangers in 2018, so it was quite a long journey to get to Broadway, and we'd done multiple different productions. So we did workshops in little downstairs theatres, and then we did regional productions at the Royal in Derngate and at the New Wolsey in Ipswich. And then we did the Kiln Theatre, and then we did the Criterion in the West End, and then we did ART in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and then we made our way down to Broadway. So it was this huge sort of final event of what's been a massive journey. Yeah. And it was so fun. And because we got these 8 nominations as well, there were so many of us there together, and so we were sort of sharing in it. So it was a bunch of friends having a wonderful time together and sort of taking a moment to check in on ourselves and be like, what is actually happening?
Yeah.
I remember as like when I was in my teens, I used to watch Tony Award performances on YouTube, and I never ever thought that I one day would be there. So it felt bananas. Yeah.
So how does it compare to the Olivier's? Because you've been involved with the Olivier's as director and choreographer, haven't you?
Yeah. It's on a bigger scale for sure. There's just being in Radio City Music Hall is wild. Yeah. And it was very nice to be on the side of it where I was just someone watching and nominated, rather than trying to helm such a big event or trying to choreograph events for something like that, because it's always so speedy. But I think it's different as well because we are the outsiders as the Brits. So it's really lovely. People have welcomed us with really open arms, but there's definitely a feeling of like, I don't know half the people, and then someone will go, "Oh, that person's really important," or "That person's really that done loads of Broadway shows," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm still trying to catch up on that whole industry." So it's quite fun. I was able to really feel like an outsider, but in a sort of like I'd won a competition and I was there for the day.
Yeah,
it was really lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt more sort of friendly rather than competitive.
Oh my God, totally. And there's a real camaraderie. The Two Strangers company and team have been welcomed with such open arms, and we didn't know what it would be like to take a show that's about New York to New York, and whether people would receive it positively or whether they would wonder whether we'd got it right. And actually, so many people have been like, "Oh, you've made me see New York through fresh eyes, and you've made me really connect with it. And I've forgotten how much I love my city," and stuff like that. So it's been really like a positive experience. And there's a lovely thing with the American theatre community where lots of people have reached out, and like fellow directors like Sam Pinkleton, who's become a really lovely friend of mine, sort of reaching out being like, "How's your tech going?" or sending you best wishes or happy first preview. There's been a real sense of camaraderie, which I loved. Yeah.
How did you get involved with that show in the first place?
Oh my gosh, I feel very lucky. I'd worked with Tim Johansson, who's one of our lead producers, and I'd been musical supervisor for Floyd Collins. That was at Southwark Playhouse quite a long time ago. And then 6 years after doing that, Tim reached out to me and knew I was doing lots of work on new musicals, and I was really passionate about the development of new work. And he said, "Look, there's this new musical that I'm developing. It's called The Season." It was called The Season at the time. "And we're not looking for you to direct it, but would you be interested to be the dramaturg?" And I was like, "Well, send me the material and I'll see how I feel about it." And it knocked me out. I read like 10 pages of it and I fell in love. And I also heard the song New York. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this could be really big." And so I called him up and said, "Please don't show this to anyone else. Please, I really, really want to do it. And I don't mind if it's just as dramaturg for the time being. Just being in the room and getting to work with this material is wonderful." And then I did 3 workshops of it, just developing the script. And halfway through the third one, they said, "I think this might be your show, and would you want to direct it? And so, and the rest is history. But it just felt like the right fit. And I really love the writers, Kit and Jim, so much. And we've become sort of really close friends. And well, I call them some of my best friends now. And I feel like the way they write just is absolutely up my street. And the characters just jumped off the page. And I was like, oh God, I must be involved in this in some way.
And you're planning on working with them again, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, we're going to be doing Mona Lisa. We've got a workshop of that later on this year at Southwark Playhouse, and we're doing some rewrites on it at the moment. They're so special. They've been friends since they were 9 years old. So there's this amazing like symbiosis in the way that they write, that like you sort of don't know where the music ends and the lyrics start and the text start. It all just ties together so beautifully in it. And they love each other so much and have so much respect for each other. And it's such a privilege to be part of that now. And we have the best time together. I mean, we just roar with laughter every time we're together. And it doesn't seem like I'm at work. It just feels like I'm just in this buzzy environment. And I find them some of the most inspiring people I've ever worked with. I generally think they're the bee's knees. And I'm so glad for them that they're getting the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah. So at what point did the title, it's a brilliant, quirky title that really catches the eye, Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York. Where did that come from?
Oh my gosh, it was such a long process trying to find a title, because you don't really realize, but the second you start putting a name to something, it sort of sends you in one direction. And I think there was a list of like 200 potential titles it could be, or something ridiculous like that. And we were going through them all and we were like, oh no, that makes it sound like a Hallmark thing. And well, that makes it sound like an edgy play. And that makes it sound like this. And that makes it sound like that. And it came to the point where someone, I think it was Timmy Hansen, I can't remember, but someone said, oh, it's just, well, I mean, what is it? It's just two strangers carry a cake across New York. And it was like, oh, maybe that's it. And I think it served us well, because, I mean, it's a long title and some people are like, what's that cake show or whatever? But actually what's lovely about it is it does exactly what it says on the tin. And it has an ambiguity to it, which is what's exciting for us. Like the reason I love working on an original, like a brand new original story, as much as doing existing IP is really exciting too. But there's something that like people go into Two Strangers and they have no idea what it's about, except for the fact there are some people and they're going to be carrying a cake. But that's it. There are no twists and turns revealed. And the show itself is really twisty and turny, and there are loads of secrets and there's loads of surprises throughout. And I think a lot of people leave Two Strangers being like, oh wow, it's a much bigger show than I thought it would be, or it has a much more scale, or it does things I wasn't expecting it to. And I love that the title doesn't give any of that away. Yeah.
And the brackets give you license to shorten it to Two Strangers, of course, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. Everyone calls it Two Strangers, yeah.
But now you're backstage at Something Rotten, which is it just opened at Manchester Opera House?
Yes, we had our second preview last night. I'm actually currently sat on the floorway of a hallway because I was trying desperately to find somewhere that we weren't going to be interrupted by backstage announcements or people doing sound checks or anything like that. But we've just finished an afternoon of preview notes where we're just doing some little tweaks. And then we open next Wednesday. It's so exciting. I love it so much. Do you know the show Something Rotten at all?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's so brilliant. It's like it's really opposite to what Two Strangers is in terms of it's got a cast of 26 and a big band, and it's got tap dancing and feather packs and huge like step changes, and it's like
what some people call a proper musical then.
Well, yeah. Well, I think for me it's that what people might think of as like a big razzmatazz story. But I think what I love about it, and in the way that it is similar to Two Strangers, and what drew me to it, is it's also absolutely full of heart. The writers, Wayne and Karey Kirkpatrick and John O'Farrell, are great friends, and what they've written is the story of these two brothers, and they're trying to write a hit show, a hit play, and they can't seem to work it out. And then one of the brothers, Nick, goes to a soothsayer and sort of asks what the future of theatre will be. And the soothsayer says it's musicals. And then they set about writing the world's first ever musical. So it's set in 1595, and it's set in Shakespeare's time. And Shakespeare is a character played by Richard Fleeshman very beautifully. But it doesn't feel like Shakespeare in a sort of is modern, and it's got sort of Broadway tunes and the language is contemporary, but it's got some some names and recognizable things that people might sort of get excited by. Like there's Shakespeare references and stuff, but it's all a bit tongue in cheek and it has a real playfulness about it. I love it. I mean, I love working on comedies, and it seems to be what people hire me more and more to do, and I'm very happy about that because it sits very well with me. But yeah, it's full of laughs, and the audience has been going bananas for it in the last couple of days. I mean, we had everyone jumping to their feet, and the applause after. There's a number in Act 1 called A Musical, where they're sort of learning about what a musical could be, and they're sort of dreaming up what it could be. And the applause just went on and on and on and on. And then there was another wave and another wave. And it was like, oh my gosh. Some of the cast came off stage and they were like, I don't think I've ever been on the stage when something like that has happened before. It felt like a bit of a moment, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's nice, but you don't know what to do when you just stood there waiting for them, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. They're stood with their arms in the air being like, do we keep holding our arms up? They're beginning to ache, but their sort of smiles. Like sort of, I bet they get a bit of cheesecake. Yeah. But they're the most fantastic cast. Jason Manford is playing Nick, and we have Marisha Wallace, who plays his wife Bea, and as I said, Richard Fleeshman. And I do a massive cast of very, very talented people, and this big ensemble, and that we've turned into this lovely big family, and that sort of joy and community has found its way onto the stage, and I think it's found its way into the auditorium. Like people are sort of floating out of the theatre feeling really buzzed about it, which makes me like super excited. I also have family here in Manchester. My brother and his family are based here. So it's really nice to be here and to sort of connect with the city again, which I love. I worked at the Royal Exchange a couple of times, and I just think Manchester's magical.
Yeah. I was looking actually at your bio to see if I'd seen you anything of yours, and I have. You did Treasure Island for Bolton Octagon at the football club, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. That was so fun. That was a lovely experience. There were loads of young people in that production, which was really exciting. They were playing all the pirates.
Yeah.
But we had a great time, and it was lovely to work with Bolton Octagon. And yeah, the audiences are so warm up here, and they love a comedy. And yeah, I think that's why Something Rotten's going down so well here. It's because like people come to the theatre to have a fantastic time, and this show delivers. I saw it on Broadway actually 10 years ago, and I just fell in love with it. I couldn't believe what a fantastic time I had, because it sort of does everything. You sort of get all the razzmatazz and the big production numbers, but then you have like some quite intimate scenes, and you get all the comedy. It delivers on all fronts. So the fact that I get to be the first person to direct it and choreograph it in the UK is wild. I feel very, very lucky, and I never thought that would be the case. But I'm glad it's landed in my inbox. I must say.
Yeah, it's taken a long time to get here, but
it's taken and it seems so obvious to be here. Like it's a British story, and it's told with such love for Shakespeare, but also taking the mickey out of Shakespeare and how we feel. Lots of people feel about Shakespeare and our relationship to how we taught it at school, and so you sort of recognize bits from Romeo and Juliet, but then it's sort of all done with a bit of a wink and a nudge, and it's absolutely perfect for the UK. So I'm glad it's finally getting here, and people seem to be really responding to it.
Yeah, even the cast of characters is just interesting to read. Obviously, you say you've got Shakespeare with Richard Fleeshman, and Jason Manford's Nick Bottom, and with a family, and then you've got Shylock and Portia, and then Nostradamus comes in there as well.
Nostradamus is the soothsayer. Yeah, he's not actually the real Nostradamus though. He's his nephew Thomas Nostradamus,
of course,
who's a bit of a rubbish soothsayer, and so he gets it slightly wrong. We like to think of him. He's played by Corey English, who's a wonderful performer, and we like to think of it a bit like he's a sort of telegraph pole, but in a storm. Yeah. So he's getting signals, but it's just slightly awry. So he can see the future, and he sees musicals, but it's all slightly garbled. So the musical that they end up writing is influenced by a whole sort of, as a myriad of different musicals from the future that sort of hodgepodge their way into this show. So it's really silly. It's got it tonally, I guess it's got a bit of a Blackadder thing to it, but also like a producer's feel and a bit of Monty Python, but it's got a sophistication. It covers a lot of bases, I think.
But this started with almost the same cast as just a concert staging, didn't it, at Drury Lane?
Yes, there are a few people who've come from the Drury Lane performance. Nigel, who plays opposite Jason as his brother, also did the concert. Yeah, we did the concert at Drury Lane just for 2 shows. But I must say, we did quite a souped-up version. I think it was probably concert plus. Like,
right.
There were loads of costumes, and we had an orchestra, a massive orchestra on stage, and a choir. And I think it was a bit of a proof of concept. I think we all believed in it, but we wanted to see how it would go down. And it sold out at Drury Lane and went up like a rocket. And I think it gave the producers confidence to be like, let's press go on this. Like, it's really worth it. And the UK audience will respond to it. And Wayne and Karey, who are 2 brothers, who are 2 of the writers, are from America, but John O'Farrell is a Brit. So I think that what's been so brilliant about their collaboration is that Wayne and Karey know the Broadway landscape, and so they bring the Broadway references and the musical theatre sort of expertise, and then John's got the UK humour and the sort of the Shakespearean passion. So it's a sort of match made in heaven, really.
Yeah. Did it change at all? Were there any changes to it for the production?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've tried to make it sound like it sits in the British accents. It was done in American accents over on Broadway, so we've sort of lent into that. And there's just been a moment to sort of relook at things and revisit things that they might have lost during previews 10 years ago. So it's certainly, we're approaching it like a new musical. I certainly didn't want to mess with it too much and get rid of what I already thought was a fantastic show. But the writers have been the most fantastic collaborators. I love them, and I respect them a lot. And so we've spent a lot of time really digging in and just checking in on all decisions and being like, is this it exactly how you want it? And a lot of the time it is, but they're really open. And last night, night before, like we check in with each other all the time, and we're going, is this the very best it can be? Because every time you put on a show, it's another opportunity to level up. Yeah. And also we've got this stunning cast. It's like, why not respond to them? And you hear it in different people's mouths, and it opens your perspectives and allows for new invention. So yeah, there are new bits. If people are Something Rotten fans, there's something for them as well, because they'll get to see some changes.
And on the Opera House stage, how's it looking on there? Because the Opera House,
oh my gosh,
it's quite a small theatre compared to the ones that you've probably seen in America, especially.
Yeah, it feels like it's the perfect size. It holds the show brilliantly. Colin Richmond, who is our phenomenal designer, has made this really exquisite set, and you sort of transported back to 1595 when the curtain goes up. And it just is a beautiful playing space for our actors to tell this story. And there's something really fantastic about the Opera House, because it feels like you're in a big house, and there are 3 levels, and there's plenty of seats, and lots of people can see the show at once. So you can feel like you're in a big community of people, and when the laughs go and you're laughing with hundreds and hundreds of other people, that's exciting. But you also feel very connected to the action. You never feel too far away just because of the shape of the theatre. So there's a lovely feeling of communication between the actors and the audience. And our actors really, you can tell they're living off the fact that the audience is so close to them and the audience is so on board. Like it's this infectious energy, and it just builds back and forth, and it's just blooming into this very special connection, I guess. It feels like people are, you go to the theatre because you want to connect with people, and you want to sort of experience something really human and share it with other people at the same time. It's really different to sitting at home and watching something on telly, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a communal event. There's something about, like, it's a societal sort of way of experiencing art. And I feel like with a big show like this, where you can pack lots of people in, and we've had sold out houses so far, and long may that continue. And yeah, I hope people do book their tickets, because it's one of the best things I've ever done. I really feel confidently in that.
Yeah, and you've got some in the cast who are very familiar with that stage as well. I mean, Jason's done a few pantos on that stage, and certainly Rich's hometown as well. Yeah, exactly.
There are lots of there are tons of Northerners within our cast, actually. So that people are very happy to be near to home or at home, and people are staying with family, and people have had people pop in and see them at rehearsals or see them at break times. It's been really lovely. I think everyone's very proud that we're doing it in Manchester, especially at the Opera House. And it's nice for the people who do know it. I mean, Jason knows this stage back to front, upside down, so he's very at home. And actually, him being so at home here makes everyone feel at home. Like, he's the perfect company leader, and it's just set such a tone of like warmth and kindness and hard work and playfulness that, I mean, there's not really been a moment of tension through the whole process. Like, everyone's just got on like a house on fire, and we've laughed. And when you're working on really good material, I think it's really exciting to go to work every day, because you're not having to think, oh God, how am I going to sell this line? You're like, I can't wait to get in front of an audience and say this line or land this joke or sing this song, because you just know that people are going to fall in love with the work. So yeah, it's been really, really nice. And yeah, having people being close to home is always good.
So where next for it? I assume you'd be looking towards the West End at some point.
Yeah, I think we are. That would be nice. It's all fingers crossed, and we've made it at a scale and with an ambition that I think would sit well in the West End. So you have to wait and see. You never know, do you?
No.
But we've all dreamt big, and the producers have been ambitious, and they've allowed us to think big. And I mean, the level of detail and the level of expertise from the creative team is extraordinary. And it would be a shame if it did stop here, because it feels like something that could very happily sit in the West End for a long time. And I think it would make a lot of people happy. They just need to know about it. That's the thing with new stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's why it's lovely to speak to you about it. You're always, if it's a pre-existing story, or it's a film, or it's a book, or it's a character that you know, I think people are more likely to sort of jump in. But actually, something like this is such an opportunity to go to the theatre and be told a story, and you've no idea what's going to happen by the time you leave. And I love that.
Yeah.
When it gets to the interval, I always do a bit of eavesdropping on the audience to see how they're receiving it. And so far, so good. I haven't heard anything grisly yet, but I certainly have noticed that I love the conversations, like what's going to happen, and how do you think this is going to turn out, and what do you think this character is going to do, and do you think they'll succeed, and do you think this, and I love that. But rather than going into something being like, well, we all know that the Titanic's going to sink, do you know?
Yes, yeah.
There's something lovely about it being open ended, and it's it's a voyage of discovery for everyone in the room.
Yeah. Well, the Opera House has got a good track record of opening shows that go to the West End. The last show I saw anywhere before lockdown was Back to the Future there, which has done quite well in the West End since then. And Richard, Richard starred in Ghost there as well.
In Ghost, yeah. And our brilliant music supervisor Nick Finlow was the music supervisor on Back to the Future, so he knows what it's like to have a show up here and then take it down to London.
Yeah,
it feels like the right size sort of venue to try something out, and and I think the audience reaction is a helpful comparison, you know.
So what's next for you then after this?
Oh, there's so many exciting things coming up, which I'm feeling very lucky about. I'm developing a few new musicals, and I'm doing a jukebox musical, and I've got a play that's coming to the West End next year. We hope. So yeah, lots of different things cooking. I'm sorry that I can't say what they are, but they're all very exciting, and they're all cooking concurrently, but they're quite varied, which I'm really excited about. But I guess they will have common themes of being full of heart, and a lot of them are full of humour. So yeah, I'm busy, but busy and happy. So yeah, it's
on
it's
both
a nice
sides of the Atlantic still.
Yes, there are some things on both sides of the Atlantic. Last year and the year before was quite America-centric, and the work that's going to be put on in next year is going to be more based in the UK, but I'm developing stuff in America as well. I love doing both because there's just a different way of working in both places, and I think it's really nice to go between the two and experience those different energies. I love both New York and London scene as much as each other, and it's nice to have like two different communities now, and I feel like I've got mates on both sides of the pond, which is fun, and new collaborators as well, both sides, which is exciting.
That was Tim Jackson, director and choreographer of Something Rotten, which opened at the Opera House in Manchester on the 16th of June and runs until the 19th of July 2026. For more information and tickets, see somethingrottenthemusical.com.
You've been listening to a podcast from British Theatre Guide. For more information, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.